Okay, so the Beekeeper, right? I was kind of curious. It's the new film from David Ayer, written by Kurt Wimmer. You know what I mean? It is produced by Ayer, Bill Block, Chris Long, Jason Statham, and Kurt Wimmer. It is executive produced by From Zadra, Andrew Gulov, and Mark Birmingham. It's associate produced by Owen Thornton, co-produced by Anthony M. Scott, Abby Mills, line produced by Valentina Cuccia. Right, so Jared Michael Free and David Sardi handled the music. Gabriel Bernstein was on cinematography. Jeffrey O'Brien edits the piece. Casting, we've got Daniel Hubbard. Ben Monroe, production design. Art direction is Ashley Lynn James, Craig Gilroy, Christopher Guy Evans, Maria Chrysoloskis. Sophie Newman handled set decoration. Costume design is Kelly Jones. Right, so our cast. Jason Statham is Adam Clay, our retired beekeeper. Right, Agent Verona Parker is played by Emmy Raver-Lampman. Right, her mother, Elise Parker, is played by Phylicia Rashad. Right, Verona's partner, Agent Matt Wiley, is played by Bobby Nadiri. Right, we've got Jeremy Irons as Wallace Westfield, former FBI director. Right, there's Derek Danforth, played by Josh Hutcherson. Mickey Garrett, played by David Witts. President Danworth, played by Gemma Redgrave. Director Janet Harwood, played by Mimi Driver. Deputy Director Prig, played by Don Gillette. Right, Kelly Crane, played by Sophia Falciano. Rico Azalone, played by Enzo Celenti. Right, Agent Kim, played by Dan Lee. Detective Marquez, played by Georgia Goodman. Detective Chen, played by Derek Soy. We've got Breedlow, played by Joe Urquhart. Lewis, played by Peter Brook. Peltz, played by Martin Gordon. Debbie, played by Rebecca Hazelwood. There is Lazarus, played by Taylor James. Pettis, played by Michael Epp. And we also have what is that woman's name? Anisette Landress, right? The current beekeeper, who is played by Megan Lee. Right? That, I feel, is the main cast, right? That's the main cast. The gist of the story is Adam Clay is a beekeeper, former beekeeper, actual beekeeper, but someone very important to him is scammed and driven to harm. However, what these power and money hungry scammers don't know is that Clay is an agent in a classified program called Beekeepers, and they underestimate how much of a threat he is. Adam sets out on a quest of vengeance where he hunts and kills those responsible for the incident. Right? So, when you watch this, right, you definitely get some John Wick vibes, right? They were trying to create that same kind of aesthetic, right? A guy, dangerous guy, retired, just trying to live a life, but gets sucked back in, sucked back in. You know, this because the woman he stays with gets scammed, right? Scammed. Now, I will say the whole scam was terrible. Like it was just because it was like there was no subtlety, right? You are mad like when these idiots call you up, a lot of times there is some like subtlety to it. And I think especially if it's gonna work, because you get called by these proper dum-dums who, you know, clearly are reading from a it's hello, I am calling you. You know what I mean? It's just like you can spot those straight away, right? So the ones that actually get people, even though they're old and vulnerable, you understand they must be subtle. This guy's not subtle, right? They also make it like it's some nightclub, right? Every one of the scammer offices is like a nightclub, right? The main guy dresses like a douche. You know what I mean? It's just a bit too like, ugh. Look, we've seen these call centers. They do not look like that, right? They're not like that. But yeah, so this woman gets scammed, right? And so everything spins out of that. Now, one of the big things Adam says to her is like, "You're the only woman that's looked after me." But it's just like, but how? What? What's happened? You know what I mean? We don't get any of like the actual rationale. Like with John Wick, we understood his wife had died, right? We get the flashbacks and everything. The puppy turns up, right? So you understand, oh, this is the last thing the wife got for him. You understand that emotional connection. Puppy dies, you're like, oh, fuck. In this, listen, you get you know you imagine okay well you know they were friends and all of this kind of thing, but it's just like that whole you're the only person that looked after me. How? Right? It's just a weird thing to say. It's a weird notion because we don't see anything, right? So you there's not the same emotional grab here, right? You're not connected, but you know, obviously, it all spins all spins out, right? And like with John Wick, he digs up, you know, the old stuff. In this one, he goes to the bees. Right? Goes to the bees, which is I get that the you know the secret organization is the beekeepers, but the fact that the beekeepers have to be with bees is so on the nose, right? Oh my days. Because it's just like, even with the current beekeeper, we're saying that she has a book on her about beekeeping. Why? Why would she have that book? Right? It makes no fucking sense. Why would she have that book? You know what I mean? Like, so weird, so bizarre. You know what I mean? And just the whole relating everything to bees, be like, oh, come on. Come on. But you know, it is in the vein of a lot of the modern action flicks that we get, right? They try and create that old 80s vibe, right? That's what they're trying to do. These no nonsense protagonists who will stop at nothing to get the job done, you know? They can brush off a punch, take down an army without breaking a sweat, right? Like you're sending at him trained, highly trained operatives, but nah, he's just like, I can take care of this, you know. Then there's always that villain with the crazy accent, always, always, and there's got to be something else to the villain. Like this one, he's got the metal leg, right? It's always one eye, metal leg, metal hand. There's always something, and that's what they do. You know, it is so predictable in those terms, right? The police officer, FBI agent, whatever it is, who's conflicted, right? Because our protagonist saved their life or did something to help them. So it's just like, oh, what am I gonna do? You know, like there's always that. There's always that. Then the whole president thing in this, which is like, I mean, you know, like when I think you can figure it out with the phone calls. You know what I mean? That there's an attachment at some level, right? But then the whole bit at the end, because we know what was going to happen, she knows what was going to happen, so the reaction is bizarre as fuck. It is bizarre. You know what I mean? It's bizarre. Now, you can see the way this ends. They're kind of setting it up that it could be a franchise. We could have more Beekeeper films. I don't know if we need that, right? But it wouldn't surprise me. Like the fight scenes are fine, but they're not as dynamic as John Wick. You know? They're not as dynamic as John Wick. And I think the big thing with John Wick is he does get hurt. He gets hurt. And it shows he's hurt. In this, we don't really get that. And when you consider the amount of people he's going, yeah, we don't really get that. So it is a bit like, But if a body's tied to a truck, are we really finding it within a day? Right? Are we really finding it within a day? That's what I need to ask, man, because I don't think we are. I mean, supposedly we are. I don't think we are. But yeah, that was so. There's a lot of odd things going down in this. You know what I mean? It really was. Now, I would say if you enjoyed stuff like One More Shot, right? Wrath of Man. If you like those films, you know, if you enjoyed, what was that other Statham film? I mean, I mean, there's been so many kind of perfunctory action films. Oh, The Best Man, that one with Dolph Lundgren in. I mean, think of any Dolph Lundgren, Bruce Willis films of late, right? Think of that type of film. If you've enjoyed those films, you know, then I would say you will enjoy The Beekeeper. Yeah. It's that sort of action film. So if that's the kind of thing you like, then boom, go at it. You know, it might not be as fulfilling and tasty as honey, but you know, I'm sure it will work for some, right? So you can attain it on all your favorite VODs. I checked out on Now TV. So yeah, The Beekeeper.